was it 14 years ago something when Don't You Want Me Baby came out, is it so? Or?
Yeah, I think so.
15
It is?
years
Yeah. Is it 15 years now?
Nearly 15.
Oh my God, yeah. And here's Joanne, Susan and Phil from Human League. It's great. I wonder, because in Sweden you had enormous success with this album there, and what happened afterwards? You made some other albums, but what happened then?
We took about 2 years before we made the next album, which was Hysteria, which we had some hits off, which included The Lebanon and Louise. And then we made an album in Minneapolis with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. And we had a very big hit single called Human off that one, which actually went to #1 in America.
We never stop making music, really, do we? We're, you know, like John said, we've had a string of albums. We had a greatest hits album as well in the middle of all that. We just make music. We don't take very much time off. Yeah. The Human League sort of takes up all our time.
Oh yeah. So, because it must be interesting for you to see how the music business change and new names comes up and other names you nearly forget them, or
yeah.
Is it so, or how?
Well, it's a totally different business to the one that we went into in the first place. It's, you know, we really came out of the live scene in Britain, and that was what music was all about in those days, and now there really isn't a live scene. You know, music is a computer-based thing now, and eventually if people are successful enough, they start going on tour. What we all did was play in pubs and clubs and slowly build up until we'd done well enough that a record company would pay for us to make an album. So it's just a different game.
We don't listen very much to our old stuff, but if we ever hear anything on the radio or things like that, I think we're all a bit surprised all the time, because we sort of go, oh, that was a really good record, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And you sort of tend to forget, because we don't listen to them, so you tend to forget. And we feel really proud about all the albums that we've made and all the singles. You know, we think they're good, and we think that they've really got progressively better over the years, culminating in Octopus.
Mm-hmm.
We do try to look forward, though. We don't want to be seen as, we're still making records in 1995, and we're having hits in 1995, and we don't want to be classed as a group from the 80s. You know, we do want to push things forward and, you know, move on.
What about this new album then? Is this, because it seems like it's a new big entry in Sweden again, or how does it work?
I think it's really that we've got a new record company, because people change at record companies, people leave to go to new jobs, and we were on a record label where everyone that liked us left, so we were isolated for a number of years, and we decided it'd be better to not work with them anymore, and we parted company, and we found a new record label full of people that really like us. We got a great producer who's also very high up in the record company, and it just all came from that. We sort of made a serious decision that we would make records in the way that we used to. We got our old synthesizers out, so most of the sounds on there are from fairly vintage machines now, although we use the most modern recording techniques, and that might have made a difference. But the big thing's the record company, really. They like us, and it's great to be working with people that think you're good. What we've done really is reject most of the new stuff. We've not used any machinery newer than say 1984 or so on this album.
Apart from for the recording,
yes.
The stuff that we actually use to record it on is, you know, the most modern technology that you can get. But all the instrumentation that we use was sort of, like Philip said, old synths that we used. I mean, most of the synths that we used were the ones that we used on Dare. We just sort of emptied the memories and reprogrammed them.
Yeah. I also know that in the 80s you made albums, you had some help from, because you're from Sheffield.
Yes.
Yeah, and you have some help from another great band from Sheffield called Comsat Angels. Wasn't it so that you worked together?
Only for a little while, and they found the studio that we're working in. We've built a studio in Sheffield with the help of the local council, and that happened because Kevin from the Comsat Angels rang us up one day. We did our charity show, didn't we?
Yeah, we did a sort of live thing, didn't we, with two of the guys we didn't have a band. We'd not got a band properly together at the time. So two of the guys from the concert, Steve and
Andy, yeah.
They helped us.
I've often looked at bands and thought they're doing what we should be doing. The Pet Shop Boys are obviously one of those bands. I think later on the KLF, we should have made KLF records and we should have made Snap records. They were the bands that filled in our place. But that's all right, you can't complain. You know, when someone makes as good a record as The Power or Justified and Ancient, good luck to them.
Yeah.
I wish I had the money though.
Yeah, but how has that been after the Dare album? Was that kind of a burden to have such great success with that album? Or?
I don't really think it was.
I don't think it was a burden. It's just that people tend to forget that we've had a lot of other hits as well as the hits from Dare. People, because they maybe weren't as successful, although saying that Human was as successful in America, because, you know, Human went to #1 in the States. So, you know, people tend to think of us as just having that, you know, don't you want me sort of thing. The last time we toured, everyone was like, oh God, I just didn't realise that you sang that song. You could see the look of shock on people's faces in the audience where they go, God, did they do that? Did they do that? You know, we've always had we've always had completely different singles. All our singles have never been the same, you know, and I think it surprises people because they still think of us as the group that sang Don't You Want Me.
Yeah.
And we were.
And we were.
Now you're veterans in this business. You think so?
Well, I just think that one or two people will, from every new movement, one or two people will keep going forwards. Like out of the New Romantics, Duran Duran are still doing well. We're the synth pop group that really are still doing well. And you know, I hope it's the people that really cared about the music. I mean, we did all the dressing up and the haircuts and the clothes and all that sort of stuff. But what we were really doing was trying to make really good records in the same way that we'd grown up loving David Bowie records and Roxy Music records. So I think that's the basis, that it doesn't matter in the end what we look like, or, you know, if we are coming on in wheelchairs on stage or whatever, all we want to do is make good records and make them better all the time.